Hi, and welcome to Maintaining Self-Confidence in Challenging Times webinar presenting today. Today will be presented by Georgina and Pullen from the Springboard Consultancy, and we also have Karen Daly-Gherabi from the Springboard Consultancy, who will be answering any of your questions that you may have. My name is Anjum Khan, and I am one of the directors at the Chamber. Throughout the presentation, you can ask any questions that you would like to. All I request that you type away in the chat box on the right-hand side of your screen. Thank you. Over to you, Georgina.
Okay, so welcome everybody. Thank you, Anjum, for that introduction, and a big welcome from me. I'm Georgina Pullen. I'm Head of Client Training and Development for the Springboard Consultancy. So a big welcome to this Maintaining Self-Confidence in Challenging Times webinar. For those of you that may not have heard of us, we're an international training and development consultancy specialising in work and personal development training programmes. Best known for our Springboard Women's Development Programme, which some of you I'm sure are familiar with. If you've not been on it yourself, you have actually heard about it, and you may even be sat there as one of our clients. I'm delighted to be joined by Karen Daly-Gherabi, who is Director of the Springboard Consultancy, who's going to be here as the other panelists for the Q&A and throughout the session. And as Anjum said, mics and webcams off, and you can use the chat box to post any questions that we can address at the end. We will deal with those at the end of the session. So welcome to the webinar. Very strange times still for many of us right now, I guess. Now we're in week 12 of the lockdown, and I don't know where that time's gone. And for some of us, we're still adjusting to changing and new routines, literally overnight in some cases earlier on during the lockdown. And some of us may be working and have worked through it the whole period, whether it's at home, whether we're working for ourselves, or whether working for organisations from home. And equally, some of you may be there and it's affected your own businesses big time, or that you may even be furloughed and using this as development opportunities for yourself. And I think I just want to say before we start that it's not the same for all of us. We're all got very different circumstances in relation to the COVID situation right now, and all these challenges that we're potentially coming up against, which we may have never met before, can have effect on how we respond and deal with our work and home life as well. For some of you, you may have been working obviously at home during the lockdown or elsewhere, and some of you may have been used to doing that prior to this. But equally, others of you may be used to a very busy working environment with lots of people around you, maybe a big commute on a daily basis. So big changes, big things to impact on us. And also for some of us, the juggling of our work lives, if we are working at home, potentially with other caring responsibilities, whilst at the same time for some of us doing full-time work. And you may have other people in your house as well that are working from home or are furloughed. You may be doing homeschooling, dare I say it. You may have caring responsibilities. So there's an awful lot of different challenges that we've got to deal with, which can have an impact on our actual confidence. So today we're going to be sharing some thoughts and ideas about how you can maintain that self-confidence during this period of time, and also for the future. And hopefully you'll go away at the end with some practical takeaways to help keep that momentum going for now in the future. Okay, so let's have a look at what we're actually going to be covering today. This is the overview. So we're going to look at your identifying and prioritising values, because these are things that really help you underpin what you want to do and how you can build your confidence. We're going to talk about positive self-talk as opposed to negative, and how we can create a sense of direction through effective goal setting. Also about recognising opportunities to demonstrate your skills. And then finally, we're going to finish with lots of hints and tips to help you maintain your self-confidence. So we've got an awful lot to do in the next sort of 30 minutes. So I just encourage you to sit back, jot some notes down. I'll be giving you some food for thought, things that you might want to jot down as we go along, and then ping anything into chat that we can pick up at the end. Okay, so let's have first of all, just think about what confidence means. I think would be a really useful thing to do. And just really, it means being able to start things feeling that you'll do reasonably well. To so that you can get on with what you want to do is what confidence is. Makes you feel that whatever happens, it'll be okay inside. You've got that sense of, yeah, I'm feeling okay with this. I can do this. Or even just being able to give it a go, even if you're not actually sure of the outcome. So it's having that underlying sense of, I can do this. You might not be 100% sure, but you've got that actual feeling, whether it's a personal situation or whether it's a work situation. And an interesting thing, and we hear this quite a lot from people who attend our programs when we do lots and lots of in-depth work on confidence, is that some people comment that they feel better in a work situation, they're much more confident in work and in control, but actually on the other score, in a personal situation, that can be a bit challenging for them, or it could be the other way around, and equally it can fluctuate depending on your circumstances. So that's just to give us a sense of where we're coming from today for confidence. In terms of lack of confidence, then, means perhaps the feeling that you can't do things, or can't do that, too difficult, put it on the difficult pile, yeah? Or you put off doing things until you're feeling totally and fully confident to tackle them, or you just have difficulty doing it when you start it, you don't know where to start. Feeling powerless and uncomfortable with something, or it could be both of those. Or you've got this sense of feeling, actually, whatever I do isn't going to be good enough. So should I do it? Should I not? Or what ifs? All those sort of things. And if you get to the stage where you carry on and do stuff, it may be that you've still got that feeling of feeling a bit of an imposter, the imposter syndrome as to, well, actually, am I going to get found out here? I'm not an expert in this field. Who am I? Am I qualified enough? And you start to question yourself. Or bottom line is that you don't actually even try. Could be the bottom line with this. Okay, so overconfidence then. Some people may relate to this, or may relate to people that display this overconfidence. Maybe it is you actually don't know your limitations, so you'll just go for it anyway. I don't care what happens, I'm going to just go for it. It's just the way it is. Or you undertake to do things that you can't necessarily fulfill because you haven't thought ahead and thought about what may happen. Or that you're just being completely unrealistic about things. Often if you can think of situations maybe that you may have experienced, it may be other people, it may be work, it may be family, where you think, I'm a bit confident with that. It can appear, I don't know about you, but it can appear as coming across as a bit arrogant or maybe even boastful, or somebody that's perhaps too sure of themselves or a little bit big-headed. But I guess it depends. The aim is really to not hide it, but have that inner confidence level that it's okay. You haven't got to really shout out about it and put it across in I am great necessarily a capacity. So yeah, so there's just to consider those options before we start. And what we're going to do now is to think about how you'd rate yourself, your level of self-confidence right now at work and home. And we're going to think of this, you're going to get the opportunity to answer some questions with certain ratings. Okay, so in terms of the first question, how do you feel? Is it poor? Has it got room for improvement? Is it about right? Oh, the scores are going up here. Okay, I think most people have probably, a few more to come in now, just a few more to come in on the voting front. Okay, let's have a look. Let's have a look at those results. Okay. Okay, so we've got some results there coming through from that. Let's have a look at the next question, just in terms of the next question there. Okay, and the second one is in terms of at home. So let's have a go at that one as well. So let's have a go at the voting for at home, see what the difference is. Okay. Okay. Let's have a look at that. Get the technology to happen. We'll share some results on that. Okay, bear with me. Okay, so something's gone adrift here with the survey. I'm not sure what's actually happening. Let's go back and we can, because there's a slight difference in the results there, and it really does actually vary with people as to where their confidence is. How good is it at home right now? It may be different at home right now since we've been going through lockdown, and equally it may be that you're okay at work because you're dealing with things from a distance. So it's going to be very much circumstantial. So really interesting information. But what I really encourage you to do is to start to think about how you've responded to those questions as we go through now, and start to think about what you can do to raise your confidence levels. What are your values? So bear those in the back of your mind, if you could, and we'll work on those as we actually go through. Some interesting things that you might want to jot down that can really be good to help you with your confidence levels, and actually establishing where they are and what helps and what doesn't help, is in terms of confidence peaks and troughs. So there's a few questions that would be really good if you might want to jot these down to really help you. The questions you can ask yourself to think about: when am I most confident? So I am most confident when, and you can finish off the sentences yourself in your own time. We haven't got time to do that today, but thinking in terms of I am most confident when, ... I am most least confident when. So you've actually got two comparisons then. So when are you the most confident? For instance, it might be around when you're actually feeling okay about the content, you feel that you're comfortable with the people that you're dealing with, or the situation, or the content. So that might be one of yours where you're feeling most. It might be your least confident when it's a new content product or whatever. You've never met the people before. That might be one of your things for the least confident. Also give some thought. Third question for yourself: people who help me feel confident are, and you should be able to identify with a little bit of thought, maybe right this second, who are the people that actually sort of instill confidence in you? Is it your partners? Is it your boss? Is it a coach or mentor potentially that you might have? So it's people who help me feel confident, and people who contribute to my lack of confidence. Think of it on the other score. That's really important. So another question for you to jot down. So thinking in terms of those different areas, just real good food for thought to get your sense of who are your supporters. When am I feeling my most vulnerable? When am I feeling my most positive? So we can just use those when we're thinking about the confidence piece. In terms of values, this is something that really underpins all the decisions that we make. So they're all the things that we believe are important in the way that whether you live and that you work, and your whole approach to life, and how you put yourself across, how confident you are all based on these sets of values and beliefs. And they're things that you've acquired maybe over the course of your life so far. So there's things that are important. They determine your priorities, and they are actually the best measures to use to tell if your life is turning out the way you want it to be. So they're the criteria by which that you measure things. Now, some of these, we often see this, often hear this from people on our programs that say, well, actually, yeah, I happen to be living someone else's values. They're not mine. So it could be that it's based on the environment you live in. It could be how you've been raised as a child, even maybe, or in a previous world. So it can be based on all those different things. And they're things that we carry on through our life that can be helpful, but maybe not helpful all the way through. And you often find that people will live other people's values. So it's a case of sometimes sitting back, thinking, what are my values? What are the things that actually make me tick? And we on our programs, we often find, particularly women, and this is a fact, we do find, particularly we hear women say, oh, well, I can't do that, I'm not able to do that, I can't do that, when actually it is something that could be achieved, but it's something that maybe they would be saying, well, I'm not choosing to do that because I don't know what to do, because I haven't got the confidence to do it, because I've never done it before, because I don't want to feel stupid. So it's around thinking about whether it's something that you choose or whether it is something that you really physically can't do for whatever reason. Okay, so values are really, really important, and the way that you make all those sort of split decisions in day to day is strongly influenced by what matters to you and what you believe in. So you may resonate with you, or you may know other people that have been in this situation, maybe, where clearly you're doing something purely to keep the peace. It might not be something that you truly believe in. In fact, it might be totally contrary to your beliefs. And that's a really difficult thing to do sometimes. And actually your confidence levels are pretty low because it's not something that you're going along with what matters to you and what you believe in. So really useful to spend some time thinking about what your values may be, because that will really, really help you in your sense of direction and building up your confidence. And for some of us, our values totally change over time. It may be as you get older, wiser, whatever you want to call it. It may be when you started a new job. It may be when you started a new qualification, or when you perhaps finished education. Maybe if you have started to have a family, or you take on other responsibilities. And certainly for me, when I have my daughter, okay, my underlying values were still there, but my priorities and stuff shifted slightly. So some of that may actually resonate with some of you. Okay, so knowing your values tells you what you want to do, what you don't want to do, or what you are likely to enjoy doing, or what you feel strongly about. Now, at the moment, during this COVID time, which we're 3 months, obviously 3 months in, and coming out of it very, very gradually, obviously, there's been lots of stuff out there which may, for some people, there may have been things that have happened during this time, situations they've been put in, that actually have been conflicting to their true values, but they may feel they've got no choice in it. Or equally, it can actually trigger connections in how we see ourselves and what's important to us. Things like at the moment, there's obviously we've got the daily bulletins that are coming on in terms of COVID. We've got announcements, and all these sort of things can trigger a connection, a response, depending on your personal situation, whether it is a reaction, whether it's positive, or whether it's negative. I'm starting to hear from people, oh, I'm not listening to these bulletins every day now because I'm finding them a bit negative and deflating. I just feel, it's not a positive thing for me. So it's about you deciding what you want to do and what's going to actually help you. But if you can get your core values under control, revisit them. Some of you may never have sat down and thought about them because a lot of them are inherent. Yeah, they can really mean that you've got this solid footing for where you want to go, which if you've got a clear path, it's part of your belief system. That's going to really, really help with your self-esteem, your self-awareness and your self-confidence, because you're following what you actually want to do and what presses the right buttons for you. Okay, so doing it for the right reason, really, really important. Things in terms of your values, they can sit in different categories, which can help you split them. So we put them just into 4 suggested categories, 4 different sort of areas, if you like. If you think of the world, the community, lots of community stuff going on at the moment, isn't there? We're seeing some amazing things out there happening in the community, and some not so amazing things happening out there generally in the world as well. Also, you've got your work, and you've got your relationships, and then you've got yourself, so the stuff that's happening around you. But you can see there's a bit of a random lap over in the middle there, because there can be conflict in those. So you may have some really strong values in terms of the world, community, whatever, and they may be something that might conflict with actually that isn't the same value that's in my other part of my relationship, whether it's work at home or whatever. Or it might be actually I've got to go to work because I need to earn money, but that's going to conflict with my passion for doing volunteering, because it's getting that actual balance. And at the moment, You know, we're seeing a lot of community stuff going on for people that are able to do that, but they might be in a different situation. So their values might have been able to shift for a while to enable them to do that. But, you know, it's that sort of value in the community maybe, and tying that in and making sure that it doesn't overlap too much. It's getting the balance, I guess. It's getting the right balance for what works for you, which is the important thing. So I would encourage you, as I say, as a potential takeaway, if that's something you think, well, yeah, something's not right, there's an inconsistency here between actually what I want to do and what my values. You need to think and pin down, well, what are they right now? What's really important to me? And how can I utilize those to move forward in a positive way? So it helps me feel good, keeps my confidence levels up. Ideas of value words. I mean, I talk about words, there can be loads and they're very, very individual, but here's just a random list of value words. If we were able to have a discussion now and post lots in chat in terms of what are your values, what's important to you, and you came up with loads of different words, they may be some of these, there's thousands of them. They'll be very, very different for different people. But just give some thought to that, because you may find that will shift as you move through. Okay, so values underpin stuff. So they may help you make, if you get your good values set out, you can set some good goals, which we're going to talk about in a minute. But things that you can do to help yourself to fuel those confidence levels when they're perhaps waning a little for whatever reason, because there's too much going on, you've had a setback, had some negative comments about something perhaps that can perhaps ping back your confidence levels. So something that you may have come across, and some of you may have already used this yourself, is positive self-talk. So lots of different things that you could try if you found yourself slipping into perhaps a negative thought process. So the first one, that's quite useful tip, is to identify the negative language and try and change it to positive. Easier said than done practically sometimes, because we can be on a negative trail and that's all you see. But it's really important if we can perhaps stop those things, or stop ourselves, at least recognize when that negative thought is coming in. It could be things that are long-standing things that come through that trigger memories from the past. They're more difficult things perhaps to tackle and might need extra support. But it could be things that we've been told in the past. It could stem back to childhood. It could be how that we've been raised. But then stuff that sticks around in our head, perhaps those messages in our head that can breed negativity when we see a situation like that again. So if they pop up, it's just noticing that actually, well, that wasn't a very helpful thought. Capture it, and if we can try and think, well, actually, how can that be changed into a more positive process? And gradually, if we get used to doing that, it will become part of our behaviour pattern and almost become habitual, which will be a really helpful process. So identifying it, stopping ourselves, you know, even if it's just in our head mid-flow, to say, actually, yeah, that wasn't very helpful. This keeps reoccurring. What can I do about it? How can I change it? Now, some people, and some of you on the call may resonate with you, is that they use something called positive affirmations. And this is a statement or a phrase perhaps that individuals might choose to use to perhaps boost their confidence and replace those negative thoughts with. So it could be, for instance, if you were going to be giving a presentation and it's something that you're not comfortable with doing, or it's a new topic or whatever, it could be those just in your head. Even some people like to write it down and leave themselves reminders everywhere, as we said there, put it on post-its everywhere, put it on their presentation notes, whatever works for you. But it's around thinking about positive things that you can actually say in terms of, I can do this, I have the full confidence to deliver this, I know my topic, this is going to be a successful presentation. So it's drawing on those words. It's like giving yourself almost a bit of a good talking to, but it's about how you do that and what works for yourself. For some people, sticking a post-it somewhere in a prominent place, they just look at it and go, yeah, and okay. But for other people, it's a case of just repeating things through in their head. You know, I am confident and I can do this. Just simple things like that can really, really help. So they'll become second nature. And you know, they're the sort of things then, they'll come second nature, and they'll be the things that will perhaps pop into your head rather than the negative ones when you're in a period of stress. The last one is about using distancing language, and that's rather than using the term I. So I am able to do this, or I'm confident in doing this. Is using it in the sort of second or third person, I guess. So you could use it in your name. So, for instance, you could say, Georgina, you are a positive person. You're able to do this presentation for your new group of students, and it's going to be great. It's going to be successful. You're going to get great feedback. Okay. So that's a way of actually putting that across for them. Or you could have it as if somebody, think of some good feedback that somebody's given to you and have that in your head and use it as if somebody is telling you it as opposed to the I. And some people find that really, really useful to give them that sense of assurance and confidence. So it can be really, really useful. Okay, so things in terms of negative and positive self-thought. Just a quick look at some phrases for you. So just the opposites, basically. Negative self-thought. Okay, well, where's the catch? So if you're the sort of person that's quite sort of pessimistic about things, okay, let's look at the optimistic side. Okay, well, where's the opportunity here? Oh, this is never going to work. Well, I'm going to make this work, or I'm going to do what I can to make this work and be successful. Oh, I'm not worth this. I am worth this. So sensible things that we can do to just turn them round to be much more positive. I've heard all this before. What can I learn from this? I can't do this. I can do this. I'm too old for all this. I'm the right age to give this a go. So they're just little ideas of how you can turn those negatives, because often when we get into the negative process, it just rolls and rolls and rolls, and it can be hard to get out of. Some of you may have already tried this and be very successful at it. So if you are, keep going. Those of you that haven't, it could be something that you would wish to experiment with. Okay, so let's move on and just talk a little bit about goal setting before we finish on our tips. And I love this quote. This is a French guy. He's a writer and an aviator in the early 1900s. And he said, a goal without a plan is just a wish. So we're going to talk very, very briefly just about how we can set ourselves these goals in a way that's going to really, really help us. And the key here is to make sure that anything that we set to do is small, practical, realistic, and it's got a date attached to it. And it sounds very straightforward. And it's making sure that those small, practical, realistic things do also align as much as possible with your values. So that will make sure that you get the maximum impact. So rather than it being something like, I'm going to, I've heard a lot of, I've said it myself, I'm going to get fitter, okay? Is that a goal? I don't think so. It's a good intention. Yeah, a brilliant good intention, a really good intention. But how likely it might happen, it might not happen. Much more likely if you set yourself something around that theme, small, practical, realistic. So it could be, I'm going to call my personal trainer and arrange a virtual session with her on Monday, the 15th of June. Much more likely to happen. You would then set another small, practical, realistic one for whatever you're going to do after that. And you can apply this to work, you can apply it to personal, but it's really important that the key word here is realistic, that it's really, really realistic. You don't want to set yourself completely up to fail. It will help boost your self-esteem, your self-worth and confidence as you would successfully achieve each step, which is brilliant. So yeah, keep that in your mind, small, practical, realistic, and with a date, because that will really, really help you focus on boosting your confidence to move forward, whatever area it is. Okay, recognizing opportunities, lots of things you can do there. You can do lots of things. A lot of people are doing great things now. For those people who've got more time on their hands than they perhaps ever had, things like researching, reading books, articles, new opportunities for learning, online learning, stacks of it out there, loads more come on all of a sudden during this time. It could be consulting an expert about something, going and finding out about that person. Well, how did you do that? How did you find out about that? How did you improve your ability in that particular area? Widen your experience. More diverse your experiences, the more you're going to see patterns and parallels across lots of unrelated opportunities, unexpected, that you wouldn't have known. And making sure you stay up to date with what's going on. So new trends, development, all that sort of stuff, whether it's personal, whether it's a hobby, whether it's at work. And these last two, well, the next one, allowing time, it's really carving out the time to think about this. And for some of you sat there, you may think, yeah, I've got loads of time, I can do this now, it's brilliant, I'm doing it, I'm on it, I feel really great. But for those of you that perhaps aren't in that situation, Then thinking about how I can allow time to explore it. Set a small action. I'm going to spend half an hour on Wednesday and I'm going to research X, Y, and Z. Much more likely it'll happen. Then you set the next one. And the last one is about viewing problems through a new lens. And a lot of problems can turn into an opportunity, although at the time they may just seem a total challenge, a total problem. So it's looking at ways that you can actually change that into a potential opportunity. And I think during this time of lockdown where we've been at home, there's been quite a few issues with people that thought, oh my God, this is a real issue working at home. But actually it's enabled lots of other opportunities. For some people, it's giving them more family time. It's giving them more structure. They haven't got the commute perhaps that they had. Not the same for everybody, clearly, but it's making sure that you can perhaps turn that problem into what could be a potential opportunity. Okay, so finally, 5 tips that I'm going to send you away with that you can potentially look at to boost that self-confidence. Some of it we've covered off in different areas, but positivity and focus, that thinking positive self-talk, having a focus, having those goals, small, practical, and realistic. And for some people, the positivity and the focus, they could use something like mindfulness, maybe yoga, meditation to help relax, chill out. It could be music, equally relaxing music. It could be upbeat music to lift their mood and their focus. So thinking of all different ways that you can do that. Stop comparing yourself with others. They're not always healthy, these comparisons, and social media, I know, plays a big part in this and can fuel this, sadly. But actually thinking about it's about me. I believe in myself. Yeah, I am, as the graphic says here, I am awesome. There's a good affirmation for you. And believing in yourself, and stop comparing with other people, because that can be very, very damaging and very, very self-consuming. Third one, know and appreciate yourself. So in terms of that, it's about thinking about what I am, what I do. Body's an amazing thing. How does it protect me from things, danger reactions, that intuition, that gut feel? So getting a real sense of the gratitude, what it is you've got going for you. So going back to those positive affirmations, really, really important. And those questions I mentioned earlier about I'm most confident when. So thinking about asking yourself those questions to appreciate all those attributes you've got, but equally look at what you can do to improve. Okay. Nearly at the end here. Celebrating your achievements, really, really important, and taking pride in what you've achieved and celebrating them. And as a generality, I'm generalizing here, but people who display, pretty high levels of confidence, or, good levels of confidence are okay at doing this. So they'll give themselves that pat on the back, they'll give themselves that treat, or say, yeah, actually, that was really good. I'm pleased with that. Even if it's not overtly, it could be inwardly, which would be absolutely fine. Take those compliments that people tell you. That was great. That was fantastic, that bit of work that you did. It really transformed that area of the business, and say thank you. Rather than perhaps, oh, well, actually, it wasn't me, there was other people involved, but yeah, okay. And be very humble about it. And it's not about being boastful and arrogant. It's just about accepting and celebrating those achievements. Really, really important to do that, because that will build your confidence, as to think, well, actually, I did that. I'm going to move on to something else and do more things. Okay, and lastly, the visualizing your goals. We talked about goals, but a lot of people find it really beneficial to visualize them as well. And positive visualization, whether it's mindfulness or just quiet time. Some people who are very visual and need to see things, a vision board can be fantastic. So I know, for instance, any of you that are familiar with the platform Pinterest, you can get loads of ideas on anything on there. And a lot of people will set up their own type of vision board, so that they've got something that they can allude to. It could be anything. It could be work related, where they want to be in the future. It could be family orientated. It could be pictures of where they want to be in a certain amount of time, or it could be something like at home, where you've got, okay, we've got this project going on at home. This is how I'm going to visualize this room to be. So it really helps people assimilate that information and visualize it and actually see it. And it can be a really, really big motivator for people. So lots and lots there, loads and loads of hints and tips, hopefully, that you can pick up even if you take away a couple of things, whether it's the goals, the bits about the key things about the confidence building that we've talked about at the end, whatever it is for you, take it away, use it, enjoy it, build on it, and set yourself some small, practical, realistic steps to further on, and your confidence levels will gradually increase in different areas too, which is really powerful. So opportunity for questions and answers now, which Anjum, I believe, is going to chair. So yeah, questions and answers. I'll hand you back to Anjum.
Thank you, Georgina. That was a great presentation. Even, you know, I've learned a lot from today as well. So everyone, just going to give you the opportunity that please do, or if you've got any questions to ask, please do type away in the chat, and Georgina or Karen will answer these questions. Just to let everyone know also that today's presentation will be on our YouTube channel. We will send the link out to all attendees. I'm just going to kind of kickstart it off as well, because I was quite interested in how normal it is as well to talk about the negative self-talk. And, you know, a lot of us do that as well. So it was really great to be able to see actually visually that that's me. I say that all the time, actually. And yeah, absolutely right. How can I turn that into positive? And it's like very key and basic stuff that we can do, but it is the norm for us to kind of do that as well. I'm just going to move on to the questions here, and are they coming through now? Let's have a quick look. Yeah.
I think I'm going back. Oh, seems to be lots of feedback. I hope that's just my end.
Yeah. Thank you. What's one single thing that you recommend to do when self-doubt sets in? So what would you recommend, one thing, when self-doubt sets in?
I think what I would recommend is reset. Just take that deep breath, and you need to think about some of those achievements that you have had in the past. And often we recommend that you put together a sort of book. When you have that email that says, you know, thank you, or that was a brilliant piece of work, or many congratulations, actually we say stick it in a folder or in a box, have it somewhere that when that self-doubt starts, go and have a look in that box, because actually it just makes you realize that you have got that self-worth, you are valuable, you probably can do it. And even if it's something that seems really unachievable, break it down into those small goals so that you can work towards, chip away at it, little small steps, one bit at a time.
Thank you for that, Karen. Right, next question is advice appreciated around goal setting. Working in a team, how do you stop feeling guilty if you're more goal orientated than others? Some team members are quite negative. They see you setting time aside to pursue goals.
Yeah, again, I don't think you should feel guilty. I think it's all about realizing that we all do have very different skills and behaviors, and different work patterns work for different people. I think the overriding thing is to open up the communication with the team, understand that people have different strengths and weaknesses, they have different ways of working. And I think if you have those open conversations, those people who aren't so goal orientated will certainly realize that actually it's just your way of working. And in fact, it might be healthy for them to do that as well. So they set that little bit of time aside to do some of those things that are important goals for them. So I would say open the communications and sort of explain that's how you work, because your team members will just be working through a different behavior set.
Thank you for that, Karen. So what happens that if somebody did open that conversation, but you know, they've just been stopped because they're different?
Well, I think it's quite interesting, and particularly at the moment, difference is one of those subjects that we're all grappling with. And I think this is where we come back to having inclusive teams, inclusive leadership. We're not all the same. We may strive to achieve the same things. We might want a, I don't know, better house. We might want a better quality of life. We might want better education for our children. But we will all go about achieving those things in very, very different ways. And I think part of it is a bigger conversation, and it's a bigger topic that we probably can't dissect now. But it is about that inclusivity, and it's about teams understanding the different behaviours of different members of the teams, different strengths and weaknesses. And you do need to set time around to do a little piece of work around that. It's not something that can be cured probably in one conversation. It's something where you need to really have a look at the value sets and the behaviours of other people in the team and see how all of those things complement each other.
Sure. No, thank you for that, Karen. We don't have any other questions, but if anyone does have any questions and would like to ask Karen or Georgina offline, please do email us and we can always pass those on to them. I'd like to thank our presenters today, and I'd like to thank you all who have booked on. And please, can I ask you also to keep an eye on our website for upcoming webinars too. Anything you want to add before we go, Karen or Georgina?
I would like to thank everybody for attending, and I think it doesn't matter how senior you are or what role you are, we all seem to have a little niggling doubt about our self-confidence, and self-confidence is one of the foundations. Without that, we find it really difficult to move forward. So all I would say is, do remember and put those little pieces of good news in a box or somewhere where when you're at your lowest moment, you can open up and think, actually, yes, I do have a lot to offer, because we all do in very different ways.
Absolutely. I'm definitely going to be doing that as well. So thank you. Thank you for all your advice today, Karen and Georgina. And thank you to all the attendees for joining us today. Please do take care of yourself and stay safe. Thank you.